Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I'll be beginning a new series which I titled Fractions, and because fractions is a very broad topic, I'll be taking it in parts. On this very first part, we'll be looking at the definition of a fraction, how to write fractions, and also how to name fractions. It's going to be very interesting. I hope you sit back and you enjoy every bit of it. So now the first thing we're going to be looking at is, what are fractions? What are fractions? Now, a fraction can be said to be a part of a whole. A part of a whole. It is less than one whole thing, but more than zero. Fractions are used all the time in real life. Fractions look a little like division expressions. They are a way of expressing an amount. Like numbers, fractions tell you how much you have of something. So let us imagine you have one pizza or a pie. This circle represents the pizza, and you now divide it into 8 equal parts, like so, like so. Okay, so this is one pizza, and now divide it into 8 equal parts. Now let's say you take one of the pizza. Let me just shade one part out of the 8. So you take one slice out of the pizza. By taking one slice out of the pizza, you can say that you have taken 1 out of 8 of the pizza. You have taken 1 out of 8 of the pizza. So this expression 1/8 is what we refer to as a fraction. We write it like that because the pizza has 8 slices and you have taken just 1 out of the slices. Now, if you were to take 2 slices, I shade 2. If you were taking 2 slices out of the pizza, then the expression here would change from 1/8 to 2/8, which is just indicating that you have taken 2 out of the 8 parts of the pizza. Notice that the bottom number here does not change. The bottom number just refers how many pieces or how many slices of pizza you have, while the up number is telling you of how many pieces of pizza you have taken out of the number that it was divided into. Okay, now while the top number I've already told you is how much you've taken, we can also say that after you have taken the 2 slices, we now have 6/8 of the pizza left. Like that clearly. You took 1 and 2 slices out of the pizza, and you can see you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of pizza left. So 1/8, 2/8, 6/8 are ways of expressing fractions. So I hope that that's clear with us. Now, we want to look at how to write fractions. How to write fractions. We'll see some examples, but how do you now write fractions? Now, for clarity, we need to know that every fraction has 2 parts, a top number and a lower number or a bottom number. We have a top number, like you see here, we have a top number, and we have a bottom number. Let me write another example here. Let's call this 2/5. So every fraction has two parts, the top number and the bottom number. Now in mathematics, the top number is called the numerator, while the bottom number is called the denominator. Top number is known as numerator, bottom number is known as denominator. The bottom number, that is the one at the bottom here, which is called denominator, is the number of parts a whole is divided into. In our pizza example, let's remember that we had one pizza. We had just one pizza, and then this pizza was now divided into 8 parts. It was one pizza, which is a whole pizza, and it was now divided into 8 parts. The denominator for this pizza will now be what? 8. As you can see here, 8, 8, 8, because it's telling you how many slices or how many parts the one whole pizza was divided into. So the denominator is telling you how many parts that whole thing is being divided into. Now the top number, the number on top, or numerator, refers to a certain number of parts that has been chosen, that has been shaded, or has been taken. Like in our pizza example, you saw that we divided this pizza into 8, but out of the 8, 2 was taken. Initially we took 1 part, and then later we took 2. So the numerator will tell you how many parts has been selected, has been chosen, or has been shaded, depending on how the question comes about. So that is how we define the numerator and the denominator. I just want us to look at just 1 or 2 examples for more clarity. Now we have a shape like this. This shape has about 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, and 4 parts. And the question now is, write the value of the shaded portion of this shape. Now, with our knowledge of what the numerator and denominator is, we can easily write the value of this shaded portion of this shape. All we have to do is, first of all, find out what the denominator is. The denominator tells you how many parts this whole shape has been divided into, and you can see this whole shape has been divided into 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. So our denominator will be over 4. Now, what is the value of the shaded portion? You can see that out of these 4 parts, only 1 has been shaded. So that one that has been shaded is the numerator. It's very clear. Look at another example here. Let's call this a circle, and let's divide the circle into 3 parts. And then we'll now shade 2 out of the 3 parts. And the question is still the same. Write the value of the shaded portion. Now, once again, we first of all look at how many parts this circle was divided into. The circle was divided into 3 parts. That 3 will be our denominator. Now, how many parts was now shaded out of the 3? 2 parts were shaded, which means that we'll now have 2/3 of the circle shaded. The 2 represents the numerator, while the 3 represents the denominator. Now, let's go to the next and final thing, which is naming of fractions. Now, when it comes to stating or naming fractions, we do so in a special way. Now, we first state the value of the top number, which is the numerator, and we do this in a normal number-like form. For example, how you count your numbers. You count your numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. So when you're stating the numerator in terms of naming of a fraction, you just name the value that is on top of the fraction there, the top number on the fraction, not the way you count. If it's 1 that is up, you name it 1. If it's 2 that is up, you write 2. If it's 3 that is up, you write 3. Okay, that is clear. So now, when you've named the numerator, the next thing you do is you state the bottom number. And this is done using what is called ordinal numbers. It's done using what is called ordinal numbers. Now, what are ordinal numbers? These are numbers we use when putting things in order. For example, if you have things arranged in order and you want to state the order in which they are arranged, you don't say 1, 2, 3. You say things like second, third, fourth, fifth. So when you're naming or stating the denominators in naming your fraction, you don't use the normal counting method. You use ordinals. You say something like fourth or fifth or third or seventh or hundredth, like that. Okay, so let's look at an example using what we have on the board here. Now, if we want to name this fraction, we first of all state what we have as numerator. Like I said, in the numerator, you use the normal counting format. Here we have a 1, so we just write 1. For the numerator, use 1. Then now for the denominator, you use the ordinal method. You don't just use a counting method here, use the ordinal method. You say, okay, if this is like the fourth part of a fraction, you don't write 4, instead you write fourth. Since this 4, it will now be fourth. So the name of this is known as 1/4. Another name for this is known as quarter or quarter. You can call this 1/4 or a quarter. So that is how you name fractions. Let's look at another example, the second one here. For this, to name this fraction, for the numerator, use the normal counting method. Since we have a 2, just write 2 here. Then for here, we have a 3, but we don't write 3. We use the ordinal numbering method to do this. So you now write 2 for the numerator, and since we have 3, we write what? Third here. So this fraction is called 2/3. The one we have on top is called 1/4 or a quarter. Another common fraction that we usually have is 1/2, which is, you can call it 1/2 or simply half. So these are the process in which we use to name fractions. And with that, I've come to the end of this teaching for today. In my next teaching, we'll be looking at different types of fractions, and we appreciate it if we stay tuned for that video. So thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.